Welcome, Target shoppers. This is Our Android Week with Alan Firstenberg in New York, Bruce Turner in Lynchburg, Virginia, Duke Carrico in Kingsport, Tennessee, Michael Banks in Augusta, Georgia, Nate Swanner in Portland, Oregon. Our Android Week. Welcome. Good to have you with us. So the first thing I wanted to ask was, and this has nothing to do with Android, but it's all over the news, and it brings up the question of what's the safest way to buy something. There's all sorts. There's, I think, Alan, as you say, there is Google Wallet and Google Wallet and Google Wallet, and you can use PayPal. You can go in a store and use their debit card or a credit card, cash. That's obviously safe, but then you could get robbed. You can go online. So tell me whatever you know or think about. I guess today the attorneys general, and in the topic document, I linked to that story, a Wall Street Journal story. Target general counsel met or had a conference call with several state attorneys general who were obviously concerned. And so the first question is, how does something like this happen? I mean, we're hearing about this over and over and over again. Isn't there something they can do? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a really good question, but the first thing to understand actually about this is different than just about any other credit card theft that we've heard of in the past. The big difference of this one is that it appears that the attack was directly against the credit card terminals, or the infrastructure that the terminals are attached to at Target, and not against the storage of the credit card information. So, unlike previous attempts along this line, and unlike online attacks, this is actually probably the first time that we've seen Target's online website, their website, their web ordering system, totally unaffected. If you ordered stuff from Target.com, you're not part of the problem. You don't have a problem in this case. In this case, it only is if you went in with a physical card to a physical Target store and used the card there.
And this flies in the face of conventional fear. Most people, at least it's less so now, but they were deathly afraid of using a credit card online. But they'd much rather go and do it in person because that's so much safer, right?
Exactly. And we should point out that if you're using a credit card in person, it's still, both of them are safe because you're guaranteed against credit card fraud in either case.
Even with a debit card, though.
Debit cards are a little more chancy. You need to check with your bank to find out exactly to what extent your debit card is covered.
This is something we need to do. We need to make that call, even if you weren't affected. Right. What if it happened to me? What would the policy have been?
In general, my understanding is banks will reimburse you for fraudulent transactions made using your debit card, but that may take some time. So so you may have some money missing from your account for a period of time, which is not good. But check with your bank. In fact, in any case, check with Target and check with your bank if you think you may be at risk in this particular case.
I checked and I bought something. I think I bought one of those pizzas I always brag about, the spinach and goat cheese pizzas. And I missed it, but like 2 days, I missed the window because I was all nervous, right? So I went into my online bank account and I did a quick check to see the word Target, and I just barely missed it. So is PayPal safer? But then I don't know if major retailers all accept PayPal. What's the safest way to buy something in a store? I guess cash, but that's a hassle. And this is still rare, isn't it?
What was that, Dan?
This is still pretty rare. I mean,
This is still pretty rare, but, again, we have to, until the credit card manufacturers modernize our infrastructure, we're going to see things like this. They're going to happen again. Until we have, some real security involved in these terminals. And even then, depending on the extent of the hack against the terminal system, even a more advanced system might not have prevented it. I don't know. And Target has not revealed the details behind how the attack took place. All that we know right now is that it was involved in the terminal system. I've read reports that say this has to do with an attack, a virus or some other malware that was installed on the terminal system itself. I've read reports that it had nothing to do with that. It was just was somebody inside was able to have access to that terminal information. I don't know, and I don't know that the information is out there yet.
I guess the bottom line is, as we look back at this year, when an NSA analyst in Hawaii was able to take literally everything, I mean, all of it, and take it to Russia. There is no completely secure system. And
no, there's no such thing as a completely secure system, and nobody in their right minds would try to build one. What we do try to build, however, is what is important, however, is to understand the risks, understand how we are mitigating the risks, how we are addressing those risks, and to understand, even after that, what risks are left over, and how are we going to accept those risks and live with them. And I think as consumers, we need to do that on some level. The credit card companies have certainly done it on some level. The stores are doing it on some level. In this case, for example, if it turns into, if it's proven to be some sort of malware, there are going to be people who are asking, hey, what is the safety of our point-of-sale systems? A lot of those point-of-sale systems, for example, are built on top of something like Windows XP and are not receiving the security upgrades that Microsoft is pushing. So it raises questions like, how do we make sure our point-of-sale systems get updated in a timely fashion?
That's true.
How do we make sure that our point-of-sale systems are built on top of operating systems that are more secure and robust? These are questions that the point-of-sale people, I hope, are thinking very, very seriously about.
There's all sorts of, but point of sale is one thing, because you can impact, this kind of situation. Just shoppers going to buy Christmas presents or whatever, and they get hacked. But there are all sorts of things running on XP. Like I think I was in a Sheetz, a regional East Coast gas station chains, one of these mega convenience store gas stations where you can order sandwiches with a nice computer terminal and pick your condiments and stuff, and it's all graphic. And something failed, and it was at the Windows screen. And of course, there, what's the worst they can hack? I mean, you might not get mail, or something, but yeah, a lot of these are proprietary programs, and so they're expensive to update. And this is one reason that they, I don't know what the solution is. I guess we should all do Google Wallet. But anyway, okay. So next up, this is kind of an interesting device. We're seeing all these dongles. I think this is the year of the dongle.
Pam's not on this show.
Huh?
Never mind. Keep going.
So the dongle, traditionally this was something that expensive software programs would have these so that you couldn't pirate the software. You'd have to have a dongle in your computer to run the software. That's what I first heard about them. And then, of course, you've got the storage ones, the jump drives. So anyway, this is called Bigify or Bigify. Now I'm getting this awesome hip-hop music in my head. So it's Android on a TV, and it's a simple device. I think it's $89. This is an article from Android and Me. It's looks like Chromecast, but is different. What this does is it's an Android device that can be controlled by Android and iOS devices. Apple TV is similar in functionality to Chromecast, offers media streaming. Bigify runs Android 4.0.3 with an interface that's very similar to the stock Android tablet layout.
The big takeaway about Bigify appears to be that you actually have an Android device that you get to control remotely from another Android device. So that means, yes, you'll be able to stream media on it, but you'll also be able to do other things. So you'll be able to read books if you've got your e-reader on there. You'll be able to play games, although they indicate the responsiveness isn't all that great. So, playing an action game might not be a great thing on this device. I think it's a clever idea. I think it's another good approach. we'll see if it gets any traction and what goes with that.
And I guess this thing would, let's say you're doing it on an HD television set, then I would assume that that technically if you're doing a game or whatever you're on, it would think that you were on a 1080p tablet or some Android device, and it would deliver theoretically that version of the tablet app in side profile landscape mode, and you might get I guess it would do everything Chromecast does and more. I mean, it's a regular Android device, so you certainly could run the Netflix streaming app and have 1080p on it if you wanted, I guess. So it's kind of almost
Presumably,
like a
yes.
Chromecast Plus. I mean, it's like it does Chromecast, but everything. I mean, a million other things.
I'm not sure about a million other things, but it does do other things. And its approach is, again, similar but different. Instead of issuing commands from a separate Android device, your own Android device is it's the keyboard. It is the screen almost. So you essentially have the same screen on your Android and on the remote device, but they're not echoing each other. So, I obviously haven't tried it, but I think it's an interesting approach. I'm curious to see how it evolves.
Okay. And then actually, I guess this next topic I should move, or it's in the wrong category. This is software, right? I don't know
Whatever.
the all cast thing. Well, let me.
No, because it's related to the Chromecast, which I think is why you have it here.
Okay, so here's the story. Allcast launches. The app launches in Google Play. It works with almost everything except Chromecast. So, what do you think about this device or this app?
Well, remember, we've seen Allcast before. It was originally launched as a Chromecast app that um, required a little workaround to install, and it was received very well. And then they made an updated release to Chromecast, and it happened to break this app. And they haven't approved his app yet for more widespread distribution. So right now, Allcast doesn't work with Chromecast. Instead, it works with a bunch of other devices to do the same sort of thing. More power to him. He's pushing the boundaries. Always good to see people pushing the boundaries on new apps, new ways to stream things, new ways to integrate Drive and Dropbox and all of those fun stuff. And once again, I look forward to seeing where this one ends up.
Okay, excellent. So next is Asus dual booting Android Windows tablet teased for CES 2014. This is not new. I mean, this device is new, but they have the Transformer Prime, and of course, what do you think about these things? If you're looking for something like this, I remember when Microsoft first announced the Surface before it came out. I remember we covered it, and I was enthusiastic about the notion of being able to have like a Transformer Prime that could run Windows, and you could run, as the pawn shop guys would say, real programs for when you need that, right? Like if I'm running InDesign or something, or a fancy video editing thing. But what do you think about this notion here, Alan?
An interesting idea. I think it's the notion to me. The more interesting part of it to me really boils down that it's dual booting between Android and Windows, and I'm not, I don't think we've actually seen a laptop-like device that runs Android very well yet, and we haven't seen a tablet, a Windows like a tablet that runs Windows very well yet. So we'll see where this crosses over.
The thing is, I mean, it'd be cool if like you have an iPad or a full-sized Android tablet. The idea is, wouldn't it be neat if you've got your iOS or your Android tablet, whatever, if you could use a Bluetooth keyboard or physically hook one up, and then on those occasions when you need the desktop version of a software program, you can do it. But I think it's filling a need that doesn't exist. I think in most cases people have a laptop or a desktop computer, and those are expensive and higher end. And when they want to be mobile and portable, they bring their tablet. I don't have a
Right. I
problem
mean,
having both.
there is a very, very long history of transformable devices. Um, IBM had one back when they were actually manufacturing their own hardware. Uh, Maybe this will be the device to hit the sweet spot, but I'm not betting on it.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I don't know. I wish them well because, of course, they made the first Nexus 7, so we have a special affinity for Asus. Asus. I don't know how you pronounce Asus. I've just learned to pronounce dongle correctly. Okay, so next up, Nokia Normandy Android device leaks again in multiple colors. So this is interesting because Microsoft bought Nokia. And obviously, Microsoft is all about some Windows Phone. And what do you think about this?
I honestly have no idea what to think about this.
Nice, pretty
I,
colors. Almost the Google
I,
colors there.
I really don't. I mean, this might be Microsoft's a chance to actually sell a phone. I don't know, because it's totally not in Microsoft's best interest in any way, shape, or form. I mean, because they make money on Android phones that are sold, so why would they try to cut into those sales? Um,
This would be
I don't
like
know.
Motorola releasing a Windows Phone.
Yeah, something like that.
Of course, Google would never be stupid enough. Even Motorola would never be stupid enough to do that.
But Nokia and Microsoft are desperate. So I don't know. You know what? It's probably going to be a good phone because Nokia does make good phones. And I'm curious to see what it'll end up being. But I really have very little thought about this right now.
Okay, so speaking of niche things, um, Toshiba uh, has announced a dual 5 megapixel camera that is allow for stereo 3D shots for both smartphones and tablets. Are we ever going to see mainstream adoption or even people caring about 3D other than when an Avatar movie comes out?
Well, that's being very cruel, Dan. I mean, people have cared about 3D now for centuries. Over a century, we've seen 3D photography in the mainstream. I mean, YouTube supports 3D photography.
It almost single-handedly destroyed Best Buy because they thought everyone was going to buy these 3D TVs. So they stocked them, put the big displays up, and going to have a banner year. And Avatar came out, and everyone's
Yeah,
like, "This gives me a headache." And there's
yeah,
5 movies I can watch with it.
I don't know. I think it's the sort of thing where once again everyone's trying to find the thing that's going to differentiate their device from somebody else's device. Because right now they're all looking awfully much alike.
I think
So
clearly the companies like Samsung and Sony, which are selling phones and they're selling televisions, clearly want to sell higher end TVs, and they want to sell you a new TV, even if you don't need one. Now they want to sell the 4K TV or the 3D. So they're going to push. And Apple, of course, is rumored, has been for years, that they're coming out with some kick-ass actual television set. So clearly, these companies are going to be pushing 4K and 3D things, especially 4K, on their phones, because the more content you can create, all of a sudden you have a need for it. Right now, I think Netflix and 300 YouTube videos are the only 4K content out there. You're going to see more, but it totally crashes my computer. I can't. I mean, it destroys my video card.
yeah, I'm not sure this has anything to do with stereo video. To be perfectly honest, I mean it looks like they're billing this as just the next advancement in cell phone camera technology in general. And oh yeah, it does it'll take 3D photos.
Okay, so it could be spaghetti on the wall, as Nate says.
Pretty much, yeah.
Look at our camera. Look at us.
Yep.
It'll do this, and the other guys won't. Okay, so next up is I know you are a fan of this type of thing because you have a little one, and Netflix is the new app. Restricted user accounts can be used to prevent profile switching in updated Netflix apps. So if you have your little guy and you want to you don't want him watching R-rated movies and or whatever you don't want him to watch, then he can have his own profile, because we've all had this happen where your kid or the neighbor's kid or a friend comes over and gets on your Netflix account, and all of a sudden you have these freaky, weird movies, manga or kids stuff you're not at all interested in. And now that they've put different user profiles, that's cool. And so I guess this is just sort of a FYI that you can use this. Is this something you would find interest in as your kid gets older?
I would find this interesting if it wasn't for the fact that I already had to end up creating a new account for him completely. I'm sorry, creating a new account with his name. It's, my account. It has to be my account. Simply because there are a lot of things that just aren't using restricted profiles yet. So while the concept is great, and if Netflix had done this 2 months ago, I might actually have been happy about it. But they didn't. So I'm not quite able to take advantage of it yet. But I think this is good. This is showing that companies are finally starting to understand why restricted profiles are a good thing, how to take advantage of restricted profiles, what they can do with it. I mean, restricted profiles
Hello, everyone. I'm Caroline.
A year. And this, I think, is the first app that I've actually heard of that actually works correctly with it. So kudos to Netflix. I think Netflix is probably the only company out there, maybe even including Google, who knows what the hell they're doing.
Okay. Yeah, they got some game. And on the 4K,
sorry, restricted profiles have only been out for 6 months. So it's only been since the summer that restricted profiles were there. I recant that.
And one thing, when I was discussing the 4K thing, it's unrelated, but since we're talking about Netflix, they announced that all of their future originals will be shot in 4K. Or maybe Amazon said that. I think they've both said that now. And of course, House of Cards was shot in 4K, but it hasn't been released in 4K yet. But I think the second season will be for people who have 4K televisions, like Alan, who I think he got that $40,000 Samsung. So next up is this is thinly an Android story. It could be iOS.
And we should point out that we do have the companion show on Friday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, where we cover Google Plus Week topics in general. And we covered this one on last Friday's show, but it was so important, so fundamentally critical, that we felt it bore repeating again tonight. So why don't you explain it, Dan?
It's basically the must-have app, and
the must-have app, considering that you can't actually do anything.
Joshua Hughes notes it looks like 3D movies at the cinema are here to stay this time around. I would agree, because they're I think they're charging $3 to $5 more for the HD version,
and we know they're here to stay because unlike in the 1960s, we actually said they're here to stay this time. Because, in the 60s, they said this is, not going to stay.
They should give you a couple free aspirin when you get the goggles. Okay, so next up is this Auto Awesome thing. What this impacts you if you use Google Plus and you use the auto backup. That is in iOS as well, right, Alan?
Yes.
So what it
both
does...
Android and iOS have the auto backup feature. If you are auto backupping your photos, which you should be doing, because they're sitting nice and private and secure on Google Plus for you to take a look at later. If you've done this, however, Google will make an Auto Awesome movie if they like your photos and if they think you're a nice guy, nice person. They will gift you a year in review movie.
And I'm playing it now for them. This is the one that Vic and Dotra shared.
And I've seen a few of them have been coming out today, so it sounds like they're starting to roll out more widespread today.
I had assumed it was just going to be stills, is it? Because it looks in this demo. So anything you've uploaded throughout the year.
Anything that got uploaded using auto backup and that includes both movies and stills, can be turned into this movie.
Can you edit it?
No. Well, you could download it and edit it, but no. This is different than an Auto Awesome movie, which is only available on select Android devices. And those Auto Awesome movies do let you do a lot of editing and control. What I'm kind of hopeful about is that the fact that they are gifting us this Auto Awesome movie means that they're gifting us this movie means that we'll see Auto Awesome movie come to the desktop at some point in the near future, relatively near future anyway.
Okay, cool. So another reason, if not for the fact that it's a great way to back up your photos, and it's completely free, right? Unless you upload, or it counts towards your drive, and you can now choose.
Here's the thing. If you can put it into one of two settings. You can either set it in standard, I think they call it standard mode, in which case all of your photos and videos are free, but they will be more limited. So the dimension will be scaled down to the largest size being 2048 pixels on one side. Or you can have it uploaded full size, in which case it'll upload at the full size of your camera, but it will take up space that is shared with your Gmail and your Google Drive.
Okay. And it's cheap. I think I got 100 gigabytes. It's like $5 a month.
And for those of us that have Chrome OS devices, they throw in some free drive space.
Okay,
for
cool.
a few years.
Excellent. All right, so Auto Awesome is awesome. And I guess you'll get a notification when they make yours?
Apparently, yes. You get if you get notifications on your Auto Awesome stuff anyway, and I assume this will come in like one of those.
Okay. So next up is our discussion segment. This is interesting to me because they couldn't get away with this. What this is, they couldn't get away with this if it weren't mobile, I don't think. GoSmart Mobile partners with Facebook to offer an unlimited Facebook access without a data plan. So what they're doing is T-Mobile is offering free data. So I guess GoSmart is a prepaid plan which doesn't have data included in the first place. You'll be able to access Facebook through their browsers or through the app for free without having to pay for a separate data plan. So A, this is smart. B, it's kind of, this wouldn't be allowed, or this would be against net neutrality if it were on your home internet connection, right?
Well,
it's your favorite, you're doing a special, like this would be like Comcast saying that everyone can see NBC, but you have to pay to get on a tier to see CBS and ABC because Comcast owns NBC, or if they did a deal with somebody.
Yeah, I guess something like that. I'm really not thinking too hard about it at the moment.
This is smart, though. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
I hope it does better for Facebook than the Facebook phone.
Well, I think this is Facebook realizing they need to do something and differentiate themselves somehow, or somebody is going to come along and clean up after them. I think it's an interesting approach. We'll see where it goes. I think most users don't really have a good sense for how what apps are using their data anyway. So even though it's provided to them, we'll see.
Couple comments here.
Really?
One comment. Joshua Hughes says, and for anyone I know, the lower res photos are perfectly acceptable. Yes and no. For sharing on Facebook, Google+, they're perfectly fine. But and if you do it in the standard mode, if you are on occasion where you want to upload the higher res, you can always manually upload it from your phone when you get back. But if you're using the service as a backup in case your phone gets destroyed or stolen, then you'll lose those photos and only have the lower res version. So that's the downside. But I agree. Most people.
Well, but even there, the lower res version is better than no version.
Sure. It just depends if you're fabulously wealthy like I am and you can afford $5 a month. First world problems. All right. Um, and I had one before we do. Oh, you know what? I had one other question here for Alan, and this is totally not. I'm going to add it here. I just wanted to ask you, what do you think that they announced? Apple announced a big deal with China, or the China Mobile, whatever it is, but I think it's 700 million customers they have, which is twice the United States population, to offer the iPhone 5S and 5C. So I guess the iPhone has not been available over there till now?
It's been available, but it's been more restricted there. It's been more limited there. And honestly, although it's been modestly popular, it has not been terrifically popular. Apple has only 6% of the market in China right now, with Samsung and Toshiba both having a larger share than Apple does, I believe, each. So Apple's got a big uphill road to go. Part of it also is just the way the Chinese approach using a cell phone is somewhat different than how we approach in the U.S. So their data networks are not up to, they're not 4G data networks. They're lucky if they're 3G data networks in some cases. A lot of their plans, they don't have plans, and they don't have plans that include hardware. They mostly buy their phones and prepay month to month. So these are all barriers in some ways for Apple adopting it. But certainly being able to jump on board with the leading mobile network there, you had to do that to have any chance at all. And now they have. We'll see what actually happens.
So this doesn't mean the death of Android ruling Asia. This is not huge.
Oh, let's put it this way. It's not huge right now. It certainly has the potential to be huge.
Like I said, 700 million customers. That's a lot.
Well, and here's another point from Joshua. In order to take a larger part of the market, Apple's going to have to create a lower cost version. How will they do that without damaging their brand? Well, they're doing it. I mean, that's what the 5C is. It's a lower priced version of the 5 that has a lower manufacturing quality as well.
And if they only offer it in China, it's not going to damage their brand here.
Well, they're not just offering it in China; they're offering it here too.
Right, but I mean, if they did come out with some special one, but they don't have a history of doing that. They don't do
No,
a
they
Samsung
don't. They
approach.
offer world phones, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's really going to depend. I think it's an uphill battle for Apple, but I wouldn't count them out.
Okay. All right, so there we go. Next up, let's talk holiday savings. Even if you're, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, there's no reason not to get cheaper stuff during the holidays. So the Google Play Store and the Amazon App Store are both doing some stuff here. So looking at here's an article about the Google thing. So I try to find my mouse. I see, this is from Android Authority. We see a bunch of games, and the Final Fantasy games, which are normally like 10 to 15 bucks or more. The older ones are like Final Fantasy 2's $4, 3, 4, and 5 are $8. Dimensions is $8, and they're getting ready to come out with 6 soon. They did a tease for that. But there's a bunch of games here. There's some fitness, productivity, weather, AccuWeather Platinum is 99 cents. Music, video, miscellaneous stuff. The whole list is here. And this is changing, right? There'll be new things pop up. So it's a good idea to check around in the Play Store periodically the next few days. In between, eating with your family into a carbohydrate-induced coma, check the Play Store. And then also Amazon, 2 things of note. If you download, I think even if you don't buy, if you get a free one, if you just go into the new Amazon app, I think you get a $5 credit That's only good in the Amazon App Store. And if you download an app or game December 24th to the 28th, then you get a $5 credit for the App Store. Not a big deal, but there are also some deals. You should, if you're into deals, you should be checking their App Store every day because they have a daily deal. So here's some of the stuff that Amazon has. Nope. What am I doing? Amazon App Store. For example, on today is the 23rd. Today was Draw Stickman, Piano Master Christmas specials. Tomorrow, Christmas Angry Birds Star Wars 2. And then free app of the day bundles. Savings of up to $50. For example, on Christmas and Christmas, the day after Christmas. I'm sorry. I meant to okay, I am sharing my screen. The day after Christmas, they've got a bunch of stuff. And you get a whole bunch. It's a bunch of free apps. So check those out if any of that stuff appeals to you. I know that Quell, Memento, and Where's My Perry and Doodle Farm are 3 that Alan's had on his list for quite a while to get when the price goes down. So there's your early Christmas present. Cheap.
Don't say we never gave you anything.
Absolutely. And you'll like it. Okay, so anyway. All right. Next up, I guess, our app of the week. This is a quick show.
You sound like you're complaining or something. Yeah, let me bring up my app of the week as soon as I find where I left it here.
He's making up an app right now.
Nope, I had it. So my recommended app of the week are Helpouts.
Now that you don't hate them anymore.
The new Helpouts app has been recently released and is available. From this, you can schedule, search for Helpouts, people who are willing to help you on a wide variety of things, information, nutrition basics, learning about how to do photography. I saw somebody say they didn't know any photographers. Well, here's a great way to learn the hobby for yourself. They really are an incredibly wide range of topics. It includes things like health and fitness and nutrition, along with technical stuff, art and music, education, fashion and beauty. I'm sure some of our audience could probably use a lot of help in that category. Learning yoga, so the Helpouts app both lets you schedule help out and talk to somebody who is knowledgeable in one of these fields, and if you have Helpouts of your own, getting this app helps you schedule and manage your calendar. So that is the Helpouts app from Google in the Google Play Store.
And yours is what? Your Helpout.
I have 2 Helpouts that I'm currently offering. One of them helps people who want to develop some glassware for Google Glass, kind of talk them through what's possible, what's not possible, and go over some tips about getting started and the best approaches to designing your own glassware. The other is kind of taking a look at Hangouts and helping people understand why they would want to use a Hangout for something personal. We see a lot of people that talk about Hangouts for business. We don't see a lot of people talking about how you can use Hangouts to communicate with friends and family. So especially for the holiday season, this is a great way to keep in touch with friends and family worldwide.
Excellent. Okay, so I have a question before I do my app. Do I have the KitKat launcher on my Nexus 7?
I don't know.
How would I know? It looks the same, I think.
I don't know.
You have one, don't you?
I don't have it currently, so I haven't looked at it recently.
Oh. Okay, so if... I don't even know... Is that something you install or just something that appears as the home screen?
I don't know.
Okay, so you're not helpful in any way. Okay, so I'll have to. I should download the Helpouts app and find a help out for someone who can explain to me what the hell a launcher is. But for those of you who know, my recommended app of the week, which obviously I should check out because I might learn something, is the KitKat launcher. This is if you do not have KitKat and you want the KitKat launcher, and this works on Android 4.0.3 and up. So I guess what's that? Ice cream sandwich and up? Alan, is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to wake him up there real quick. So it features, here's a list of the features, and then here's some screenshots and stuff if you want this, whatever the hell thing it is.
It does stuff, and then it does some other stuff, and you can do stuff with it.
And it's pretty. It's got
stuff
things. You can see apps with it. You can see apps, and it's got this nice little background. And
these are like the most important features Dan has ever seen.
It's most asbestos. So you just got dark again. Oh, I guess it depends. Your screen is your light. I have $10,000 in crap here, and you use your screen from your.
No, I'm also using this, battery-powered flashlight.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's funny. So, and I didn't have any stink bugs tonight. Friday night.
We can fix that.
Yeah, Friday night, once the studio lights come on, I'm like, it's like Pearl Harbor, and I'm the control tower at the airport.
And what do you do on Friday nights, Dan?
Funny you should ask. And then we'll get to a comment. Friday night, we have another program called Google Plus Week. It's at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time. The longest running show on Google Plus. It's a lot of fun. And we talk about tech news. Specifically, we start with Google Plus updates, and we talk about any Google-centric things, and then any other interesting tech stories, and then whatever the hell else we want to talk about. And sometimes, it's pretty wild. So, he's pissed. Joshua Hughes is pissed about 2 games that are on the iPhone but not on Android, XCOM and now KOTOR. Is that pronounced right?
Well, that's Knights of the Old Republic is what I assume he's talking about.
Okay. So, but they don't have the KitKat launcher.
At least I assume he's not talking about the coastal town in Montenegro.
I doubt it. And then Joshua Hughes at the bottom are the back, home, and app switch buttons over a transparent field. Then you are using 4.4 KitKat.
That's how you know if you're using the 4.4 launcher.
Is that something you set? This is what I have. Let me so Alan can see it. He's looking at a different camera. That's my home screen, right?
I can't see it.
It looks like the old home screen.
Then it looks like you don't have the new one.
Is that a setting I have to hit? How do you do it?
No, I don't know. Magic?
Maybe in settings, there's a setting. You think?
You sure you have 4.4?
I think. About, okay, settings and about.
Anyway.
About tablet.
Because heaven knows, we don't want to end on time.
4.4.2. That's the newest thing, right?
4.4, yes.
So, okay. Why don't you have your Nexus 7?
It's currently indisposed.
Did you sell your Nexus 7 because it has the white back?
No.
I swear to God, I'll just to prove it, they're doubting me.
Considering you can now buy a 2013 Nexus 7 with a white back.
Here it is, right by my... Shit. There it is, right? 4.4.2 Android version. There you go. But it doesn't appear to be any different looking. If I back out to the main thing, there I go with my boring ass books I don't even know that didn't know I owned. Maybe I'm on there. I don't know. Maybe Alan can help me. Maybe I need to do a help out with the Help Out app on Android. Okay, so
I think.
Sorry, Alan.
No, go.
We're good.
We're good.
All right. Hey, thanks for watching, folks. Our Android Week is every week. Thus the name. Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, here on YouTube Live and Google+. You can watch us afterward. Most people do. And we thank you very much for your comments and your acronyms. KOTOR was a good one on our fun program. So we will see you next week, Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another Our Android Week. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful week. And Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you.